Good Shabbos, everyone. Parshat Terumah, first week of month of Adar, like the Rebbe talked, Tafshin and Beis, 1992, about the idea Mishinechnas Adar Marb Mesimcha. When Adar comes in, we multiply with happiness. That we learn about it from Av, like we spoke last week. That not only is the month of Adar supposed to be happy in an isolated situation where you kind of forget about your troubles, forget about the negative, forget about what the month of Av represents, the destruction of the temple, Golus, the Aspera, and you just like throw yourself into Adar. The idea is that Adar's supposed to mima'it. The things of Av are supposed to be lessened because of the Simcha of Adar. Adar should be so powerful that whatever caused the destruction, all the negative should be transformed to positive in such a way that the Adar spills over, makes everything positive. So it's not just an isolated situation that Adar takes us out of our problems, but actually affects the issues that we have throughout the year, specifically what happened in the month of Av, the destruction, because the month of Adar, the Simcha breaks that and transforms it into happiness. And there's an idea I wanted to talk about this week that we learned about kind of in the inyanim of the week, the ideas of the week, that there's two ideas we could come together. There's the kruvim that we've spoken about before, and the kruvim represent, like the mamre we learned this week, that there was the larger kruv, the larger of the images, of like an angel childlike image, and then there was the smaller one, which we call in Chassidus and Kabbalah, it's called Api Rabravi and Api Zutre, the smaller complexion and the larger complexion. And they represent the connection, the communication from higher to lower, from the divine to the creation, from Torah to the Jewish people, from the world of Atzilus and the world of Abriya. It's the connection between the two kruvim is where the infinite connects to the finite and vice versa, going both directions. But still, you're seeing things as the receiving and the giving, the smaller and the larger. The smaller elevates to the larger. The small kruv, which represents the Jewish people, elevates to the larger kruv, to the idea of the godly, to the world of Atzilus, to the Torah. But that's, if you're still looking at things from the perspective of two things, then you have a connection, relationship between two things. But if you look at the base, the Torah tells us that the kruvim had to come out of a single base, out of the kaporis. From the base came out the two kruvim. And when you realize that there's a single base, a single yesod, a single foundation that encompasses, that includes both ideas, that when you have things in your life that are receiving and giving, smaller, larger, painful, happiness, if you look at them as isolated things, like we said before, so you have Av and you have Adar, but when you realize that there's one base of it all, there's the essence, the level that connects everything. Like the Rebbe says, the ability for the lowers to elevate to the highers and the highers to go down to the lowers is because there's a base of the level of God that everything's equal and where everything comes from. And when you connect to that base, then you see everything as a positive. You see everything as an experience because the things that are greater in your life come to the same place that the things that are smaller. They're not two happenings. There's one base that expresses itself possibly differently. And so when you connect them from their separation, then actually you're making a full circle. That they're connected at the base and they come back to be connected how they're projected and how they're expressed in the physical and in our consciousness. And this also the Rebbe talked about the idea of an amazing idea that the Rebbe spoke about, actually not in Terumah, but about the idea of Terumah. That what we see, that we spoke about Yaakov Avinu, he brings down the cedar trees that are made that are used to make the beams. He brought them all the way down from Eretz Yisrael to Eretz Mitzrayim, 210 years before the Jewish people left Egypt, before the Golus even starts, because he sees that the Jewish people are going to build a Mishkan and they're going to need to have available cedar trees. And the Rebbe talks about how that gives hope to the people in Golus, that they shouldn't fall into despair and they should know that there's going to be a Geul, there's going to be a redemption, there's going to be a Beis HaMikdash, they have evidence. But here in this talk, the Rebbe took it even a step further. The Rebbe said, when a person is thinking large, doesn't see things small, doesn't see things isolated, has a big picture. So before you even go into a situation of Galus, you don't see Galus as an isolated situation. You see Galus as part of the bigger picture. To Yaakov Avinu, it's all the same thing. It's all about getting to V'shachanti b'sochem Gili Elikus. Yes, the process has to happen. You have to go through Galus to get to Geula. You have to go through exile to get to redemption. You have to go to Mitzrayim, to Meitzar, to get to Harchava. Mina Meitzar, Karasa, Yudke, and then you get to Harchava. But that's all part of the bigger picture. So he doesn't see it as a contradiction. That before you even go into the Gullus, he's already bringing trees for the preparation for the Beis HaMikdash. The Jewish people, the Rebbe says, are asking for gold and silver while they're in Egypt because they know they have to build the Beis HaMikdash. They're not subscribing to the negativity of Gullus. They're seeing the bigger picture of how through Gullus we're going to get to Gula. through Galus we're going to get to Beis Hamikdash. A person has to think like an Ashir. Tefilas Ashir, the Rebbe says. An Ani, a poor man's prayer, prays only for what the situation is. The difference between a poor man's prayer and a rich man's prayer is not what you have in your pocket. It's what you have in your mind. If you think poor, if you're thinking like an Ani, so your prayer is about your problems as you see them right now. If you think large, you think like an Ashir, you see the bigger picture. Your tefillah is, how do I get there? How do I get to this great next stage of my life? I want to wish everyone the Tefilas Ashir, like the Rebbe says in this week, Ashir is bepashtus, not just to have it in your mind, but have it in your pocket, in your wallet, gold and silver, and we should go out like we went out of Mitzrayim with Ashiras, with Meheir, B'meinu, with Mashiach Tzidkenu. Good Shabbos, everyone.